We've read the stories, we've watched the footage. The world is tearing itself apart. And if we're honest, we've seen the cracks forming in our neighborhoods, across our cities, all over the globe. Technology promised to pull us closer together. And while we're more networked than ever before, we're less connected than we've ever been. Screens have a sinister way of distancing and distracting and divided us. We feel alone, we feel isolated, and if we're honest, even forgotten. We're split apart politically, ideologically, spiritually. We're building walls and barricading ourselves in echo chambers of ignorance.
Church leaders are feeling the effects. I know I've grieved seeing fellow leaders fall away. Many of us have burned out trying to stop the dam from breaking. It's not just a feeling. The statistics confirm what we already know. Pastors are exhausted and struggling. Thousands of us are resigning. The next generation of faith leaders is quickly faltering. Combine that with fewer donations, slashed budgets, the lingering potential for global recession. For many of us, the urgency of the situation only heightens our calling. But the task standing before us seems increasingly difficult. We can't do it all. We can't do it alone. And we were never meant to. We need to be creative about finding a new solution.
Not many churches are experiencing net growth. In most cases, we're treading water and consolidating. That's because less people are turning to the church for answers. It doesn't mean they've stopped searching. But rather than standing around coffee and donuts in our fellowship halls, they're finding their people gathering at the water cooler in break rooms. They're building community at work. In a world full of division and tribalism, these are the few places where people are finding common ground with one another. These are the neighbors they've come to connect with. Most know more about their colleagues and co-workers than those living next door. The definition may look different, but God's call to love and serve them is just the same as it has always been. That's because the work we do as pastors and church leaders has made a difference. We have connected people to God and one another. For the past 20 years, there's been a revival in the workplace to pave the way for faith to extend beyond weekends and boldly into the work week. The church has been and continues to be the bridge. But we need to find ways to press beyond the scheduled service or activity. That means our mission needs to be even more visible in daily life. At this moment in time, the world has stopped walking through church doors and they're turning to business owners. In today's hustle and gig economy, as many as 10 to 20% of church attendees consider themselves entrepreneurs. And now more than ever, they need Christ-like leadership from you. More than likely, you're pastoring 10, 20, or 30 entrepreneurs at this very moment. And these uniquely gifted people need you to step up during this pivotal moment in history. The question we need to ask ourselves as pastors is this: how can 1 hour in our sanctuary truly impact 40 plus hours in the marketplace? The Apostle Paul understood this well as he led a new and growing church. It's why he spent time in Roman marketplaces.
Entrepreneurs might be sitting in the back row of our churches, but they have a front row seat to what's happening in the world around us. Not so long ago, we might have turned to our lawmakers in moments of crisis like this. Not today. Today, most people have lost trust in the government. Instead, they're running to businesses and brands for understanding and reassurance. According to a recent Gallup poll, small businesses are trusted 9 times more than politicians and twice as much as churches. Why is that? Because small businesses often represent the core ideals we aspire to reflect: innovation, resilience, self-determination. These enterprises display a model of resiliency on Main Street. They work through good times, lean times, tough times. What people see are business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders who inspire, influence, and lead. Names like Cuban, Musk, and Gates have become synonymous with global authority. When they take action, the world takes notice. Every day, the people where we live and work are looking to entrepreneurs for leadership. And these founders and business owners are part of our churches. How entrepreneurs build and invest shapes culture. They can be a source of brokenness or instruments for redemption. The world is coming to them. These are opportunities we've prayed for in the church. Everyone has a boss. Not everyone has a pastor. There's an army sitting in our seats on any given Sunday, ready to be mobilized and ready to bring about human flourishing. But if these ambassadors of the gospel are left alone, they just might falter. We as the church need to wrap our arms around them.
Pastor, I know you're tired, stretched thin, maybe even heartbroken, but God's call is still strong in your life. I know that even with the uncertainty around the world, you know that the church is God's plan A for the world and for his people. But you probably feel like I do and a lot of other pastors. Your voice is no longer the loudest in the room and maybe not even the loudest in the building. Well, it's time to adapt to our changing world, to respond in a winsome way. Entrepreneurs can be your allies if you lock arms with them. That means you need to go see them. You need to go to where they are. As I've said before, rarely have I seen a rapidly growing church without dynamically engaged business leaders. These are the people that innovate, and they fund the ministry, and they build the network in the church. Entrepreneurs are all around you, but many are sleepwalking, disillusioned, disengaged. They're distracted by the endless pursuit of money and power and fame. Did you realize that less than 1% of business leaders and founders are being discipled in their work? This is where you can speak in and step out in a meaningful, significant way. Entrepreneurs feel alone, misunderstood, disheartened. Many have mortgaged their future to pursue God's call for them to create. They've staked their very livelihood on these big ideas. And yet many struggle thinking that the innovation of the venture God has given them is theirs alone. That's because they want to be in control, and their identity is wrapped up in what they're creating. And as a result, their greatest strength has become their greatest weakness. That single-minded determination to see things through can become an all-consuming battle for entrepreneurs. It doesn't have to be that way. Entrepreneurs are sitting in front of you, dozens of times each year, and you can speak into their life. Now is the time to show up for them in a big way, and then watch God work in them and then work in the church through them.
We're not asking you to manage another program. All we're suggesting is that you walk with entrepreneurs on their journey. And that is where a ministry like Faith-Driven Entrepreneur comes in. We're leading the charge to connect 1 million entrepreneurs across the world, to guide and connect business owners, entrepreneurs, and students so that your church can be a launching pad for entrepreneurs. Together, we can encourage them to see business as a tool for impact. And soon, you'll watch entrepreneurs in your church move from limping to learning to truly living. You'll see them become fully alive in Christ. And soon, they'll engage more actively in your church and become some of your most passionate supporters in ministry. You're not alone in this endeavor. A group of faithful donors has made it possible to support your church with just about every resource that you need. Already, hundreds of churches filled with thousands of entrepreneurs are sparking a movement in their neighborhoods, communities, and cities. Faith-driven entrepreneurs are finding a community of like-minded disciples who share their experiences in finding God and His call to create. And the change in heart posture is making a difference all across the world.